Welcome to the Explainer. If you're deep into infrastructure design, you already know that mastering your software is literally just as crucial as understanding the engineering principles behind your actual projects. So let's jump right in. Today, we're focusing squarely on how to build custom surfaces in Civil 3D. Honestly, think of this Explainer as unlocking a master toolkit. We're going to get into the nuts and bolts of taking raw data and transforming it into a precise, dynamic digital terrain model that's going to serve as the absolute foundation for your entire project. Right off the bat, I want you to look at this staggering number, 99.5%. That represents the literal time savings you achieve when creating surfaces and contours in Civil 3D compared to using standard AutoCAD. We aren't just talking about a minor efficiency bump here. This is a complete paradigm shift for your workflow. By actually using Civil 3D's surface tools, tasks that used to take hours of tedious, repetitive drafting can quite literally be done in seconds. So why the massive time gap? Well, it comes down to how the software handles the data. The old manual AutoCAD methods meant you had to basically guess and manually calculate where contour lines crossed your tin lines. You're trying to manually interpolate elevations, which, let's face it, naturally breeds inaccuracies. Civil 3D, though, it mathematically generates the entire surface object for you. It automatically pulls in your point groups, instantly processes the data, and draws perfectly accurate contour crossing locations. It does all the heavy lifting so you can actually focus on designing. Here's our roadmap for this Explainer. 1. The Civil 3D advantage. 2. Defining tin surfaces. 3. Starting with point groups. 4. Adding detail with break lines. 5. Using contour data. And 6. Advanced edits and styles. Okay, Section 1, the Civil 3D advantage. You know, creating these digital terrain models isn't just about making a pretty 3D picture to show the client. It's fundamentally about filling in the physical gaps from your field surveys so you can estimate earthwork quantities with incredible precision. To pull that off, you're primarily going to build 3 common types of surfaces. First is the existing ground. That's the site exactly as it is, untouched before any development. Next is the stripping surface, which is basically the natural ground, but with the top 10 to 30 centimeters of topsoil scraped off to give the construction crews a stable base. And finally, the final surface, representing the finished grade of your completed site design. Keeping these 3 specific goals in mind dictates how we manage all our data. Moving right along to Section 2, defining tin surfaces. A tin, or triangular irregular network, is the standard method for interpolating elevation data. I always like to picture taking a massive digital blanket and just draping it over all those raw survey data points. The software automatically connects these points into a continuous, seamless network of triangles. And once those triangles are locked in, Civil 3D uses them to mathematically interpolate exactly where the contours should go and how to generate your cross-sections and profiles.
Which brings us to Section 3, starting with point groups.
Let's walk through this super simple 4-step rhythm to turn points into a surface. In your Toolspace Prospector, you just open up the Surface Definition tree. Scroll down to Point Groups, give it a right-click, and hit Add. Then you just select whichever point group you're using, like your existing ground survey points, you click OK, and literally in a fraction of a second, the algorithm runs and turns thousands of raw floating data points into a fully visible, workable surface. It's that fast. But hey, here's the question we always have to ask ourselves as designers. How do we make those surfaces more accurate? Because points alone are really just isolated spots of elevation. If we leave everything purely up to the algorithm, it might blindly connect a point on the top of a curb directly to a point at the bottom of a ditch, totally ignoring the physical reality of the actual road edge right between them. And that is exactly why we need Section 4, adding detail with break lines. A break line does exactly what it sounds like. It acts as a definitive break in your terrain. It's a line that connects data representing distinct physical features. Think ridge lines, edge of pavement, or the toe of a slope. When you drop a break line in, you are firmly telling Civil 3D, look, I don't care what the closest points are. You must draw the triangle edges exactly along this specific line. It forces the triangulation to follow the feature, making sure things like sharp curbs or retaining walls aren't illegally smoothed over by the math. The workflow to add this breakline data is incredibly straightforward, but man, is it powerful. First, you just select your drawn polylines, say your edge of pavement. Next, expand that surface definition tree, right-click on breaklines, and select Add. Now, here is a massive pro tip. Always, always provide explicit descriptions when the prompt comes up. Seriously, don't skip that box. When you're managing massive project files with dozens of surfaces down the road, knowing exactly what breakline represents what feature is absolutely going to save your life. All right, moving into Section 5, Using contour data. Sometimes, we have to start working on a site before a surveyor even steps foot on the property. Now, while verifiable, field-collected data from a licensed surveyor is obviously mandatory for your final designs, importing existing contour data is a spectacular tool for the preliminary analysis phase. You can easily pull contour data from government repositories, GIS databases, or even photogrammetry. This gives you a fast, highly cost-effective way to run early feasibility studies and conceptual gradings long before committing to an expensive topographical survey. When you do import that preliminary contour data, Civil 3D gives you some fantastic controls. Check out the weeding and supplementing factors in the menu here. This lets you automatically clean up data that's way too dense by just weeding on unnecessary vertices. Or, on the flip side, you can supplement really sparse data by adding points along long stretches. You can even check these boxes at the bottom to minimize flat areas. Doing this ensures your preliminary surface generates a clean, usable tin that will actually drain properly when you start analyzing it. And finally, Section 6, Advanced Edits and Styles. If you expand that definition tree just a bit further, you'll hit the Edits menu. Think of this as your command center for localized surface operations. You can paste one surface directly into another, you can raise or lower the entire surface elevation all at once, or you can manually add and delete specific points and lines. Now, what's absolutely crucial to remember here is that Civil 3D processes these edits chronologically, from top to bottom. The most recent operation mathematically takes precedence. So if you paste a surface and then lower it, the pasted data gets lowered too. But if you lower it before pasting, that pasted data stays right at its original elevation. Understanding that order of operations is a total game changer for surface modeling. Beyond just editing the raw data, we have to control the overall behavior of the surface. By right-clicking the surface name and going into Surface Properties, we can manage our definitions, check our volume statistics, and swap out styles. A really great trick to keep in your back pocket is the No Display style. If you're building a tin volume surface purely to calculate how much topsoil you need to strip, you don't actually need to see those messy volume contours on your screen. Assigning a No Display style lets the software calculate all the earthworks in the background without cluttering up your drawing window. It's basically like turning off a layer in standard CAD. But for the surfaces you do want to see, you'll be diving into the Surface Style dialog. This is where you get absolute control over the visuals. You can tweak exactly how the 3D geometry behaves, manage how your extent boundaries look, and even decide if you want the underlying triangulation points and tin lines visible for troubleshooting. Building custom styles means you aren't just stuck with the default look. You can tailor the graphics to perfectly match your specific firm standards. Ultimately, the whole shebang comes together right here in the Display tab of the Surface Style menu. This is where you assign the appropriate line weights, colors, and line types to make your engineering plans actually readable. Following standard conventions here is absolutely vital. For example, setting your existing ground major and minor contours to a light color with dashed line types, while hitting your proposed design contours with heavy, continuous line types. This ensures that when your plans actually hit the plotter, the distinction between what exists and what is being built is instantly clear to the contractor out in the field. And that officially wraps up our deep dive into building custom surfaces. We've covered everything from the raw mathematics of tins all the way to the precision of break lines and the visual power of surface styles. So, with a proven 99.5% time savings over manual methods and this incredibly dynamic toolkit right at your fingertips, what complex terrain are you going to model first? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep designing, and I'll see you in the next one.